All right, let's have a look how to do a simple animation inside After Effects. So this is what I'm going to run through how to build. It's an opening title animation for Live at the Wild. So let's have a look at it. So although it's got a fair bit of movement, this is probably something that you can do up in probably about half an hour if you have a fair idea of what you're up to. So let's run through and see how to do it. So let's start with a new composition. So we click down here for a new composition and let's call this Live at the Wireless, LATW. We'll do it HD TV 1080 25 and we'll make it go 10 seconds. So let's go OK. So that's our initial comp, which is empty. Let's get our text tool up. Now when you're doing text, you really want to get your safe titles up. Click on this little icon here and go Title Action Safe. You're looking to keep everything inside this inner window here. All right. So very important to make sure that you don't let your titles come outside. So always turn on your title safe. So we're going to type up some text. So I'm going to use the font called DIN, but you can choose any sort of font there. But I'm going to go with DIN because I quite like it. So let's start off with the first line, which will be Live. Now, quite often when I'm typing text, I find it quite useful to decide on the font and the look and the color, and then actually duplicate the layer and put the new content in there. So if I select that in there, you can go Edit, Duplicate, or Command D. And that gives you a second layer. Just get your movement, move it down, and then double click on it, and this will be at there. And then we'll duplicate that one, and then move that off, and then double click on that one and go wireless. So let's start moving them around a bit. Because wireless is a bigger word, it's probably going to need to kind of all be a little bit more sort of that way. In fact, I think I might make that bigger. So to do that, you've got to have your character panel up. If you don't have that up, you just go to the window drop-down menu here. It's obviously got a tick, so it's already on. And with that layer selected, you can simply increase the size of the text like so. So let's make that one 220. So you can actually click on and do data entry. And I think the live should be the same size. So let's pop across to live, type 220 for that as well. So now the at the is not really as important as the rest of it. So it would be nice to punch this out a bit. So here's a way to do that. First up, you could click here. If you had a bold, you could do that, or an extra bold or something, but we don't. This font only has one flavor, which is kind of a bit restrictive, but we can get around that. Down the bottom, Photoshop gives you some, sorry, not Photoshop, After Effects give you some options. So you can do like a faux bold, as they, and that does it for you. You can italicize it. You can cap it. You know, you can do that with it. So it's all caps, but a bigger L. So you've got some options here where you can just quickly do a change to it. I'm going to choose the faux bold. I quite like that. And of course, I'll do that on the wireless as well. Okay, so now I've kind of got a look. It's kind of all still gone a bit right. It needs to be centered up, which is around about here. Okay, so that's looking pretty good. Now, let's look at doing some animation of our text. Now, you can do really complex animations in After Effects, but there's a lot of presets that sometimes if you're sort of running tight for time, you might want to go for one of those. You might need to modify it a bit, but it'd be a lot quicker than trying to design something from scratch. So let's look at how to do that. Now I'm going to need my effects panel up. So if you go to the drop-down menu window, effects and presets, and here's my effects and presets here. Now there are some specific ones here for text, which is a great place to look. Let's have a look at some animates in. Now there's a lot here. Really feel free to have a look. You can always drag it on, see what you think. And if you don't like it, I don't think I like that. You just go undo, and it's not there anymore. And they are a gazillion of them. Like here's another one. This one's a bit simpler. Oh, that one actually brought up a text layer, but I didn't have a layer selected when I did it. That's why that had. Let me do that again. All right. Always got to have a layer selected. Don't know about that one. Oh, there it is. Goodness. That was exciting, wasn't it? Let's undo that. So, spin in by character. We could go for something quite tacky. Unfortunately, these tend to push it off frame a bit. So, and there it goes. Yeah, probably not that one either. But there's all sorts of options in here. So, like you can go organic things like this one I saw here was kind of called wheat field. Now, when you apply these, by the way, where your position bar determines when it begins. So I'm going to, just to show you that, I'm going to park that at 2 seconds. Double click on wheat field. Oh, I forgot to have a layer selected. Double click. And now it waits. Oh no, it started at the beginning. Make a liar of me. A lot of them only begin at a certain time. So that one's a bit more subtle. Now it is rendering as it goes. If I play that again, it'll be a bit quicker. There we go. So all sorts of options. Now that's something that you can explore in your own time. Hours of fun in that. So there was one in here that I thought was kind of good, which I think was inside tracking. It's called Spasm. So let's park my current time indicator at the beginning. Let's drop Spasm on. And let's have a preview of that. Now here's what I like about Spasm. It kind of looks like a VU meter, which is kind of apt for Live at the Wireless. I kind of like that. The only thing is, it's just too much. It's just too much, this thing. So let's see if we can dial it back. So if you twirl open here, go to text, go to Animator 1, and this is where the preset's applied. Now, you can see keyframes there. You can twirl it open and really get a lot of fine control, and that's something you might do if you wanted to make it happen slower. But what you can do is reduce the tracking amount here. Now, if I pull that back to 20 from 102, it won't do as much movement. So now you see how it's more subtle, which is kind of the effect that we want. So it's still moving, but less. And you can play around with this to your heart's content. Like, let's bring it down to 10. Let's have another look. So really it's up to you. I quite like the 20. I don't mind having a bit of movement on it. But, okay. So that's what I've settled on for that. So I'm pretty happy to go with the same effect for everything. You wouldn't have different effects everywhere. They would look really tacky. So let's drag that onto the at there. Same thing. It's too big. So twirl it open up your text. Now, because the at there is not particularly critical, I'm going to bring that one down to 15. So it's even more reduced. Then let's drag Spasm onto the wireless, which is this one up here. And then this one I'm going to bring down to 20 as well. And let's do a round preview. The 0 key on your keyboard will do that. Look at that. How cool. Now, one of the things with having the amount is that it tends to, like the at there is on a different cycle, whereas the live at the wireless are working almost together. If you wanted to exaggerate that, if you went to the wireless, now I'm going to use the U key twice, which is called the Uber key. And that kind of opens up these things as well. So I'm going to go back to that tracking amount, which is here, and I'm going to make that one 18, which will actually just push it a little bit out of sync. So it's not quite so uniform. Alrighty. So you could do a lot more. You can see here I've opened up those keys. You could drag them out, extend and stuff. That's probably for another day. I think that's enough for what I'm after right now. So that's the first part. But in the demo that I showed you, which was this one here, it not only did that, but then it had this move at the end. Sorry, wrong one. That one. There we go. It had this move up and then thundered up, which gives it a little bit more dramatic impact rather than staying still. So let's look at how you would do that. So this is what we've got so far. So what we're going to need to do is do what's called a pre-compose. So to do that, let's select all the layers, composition, layer drop-down menu, pre-compose, layer, pre-compose. What that does is it puts those 3 layers into a new composition. So I'm going to call this my master comp, LATW, wireless, and then we're going to go OK. So this composition here is a nested comp of what we saw before of this one here with all those layers. So now that we've got that, we can use this to move them all together. So I'm going to hit the S key to open up scaling parameter. I'm going to turn on keyframing, which puts a keyframe at the beginning. I'm then going to go, actually no, I'll drag, work out, probably about here where it stops will be where I'm going to finish the move and make it do something more dramatic. So here at about 220 here. So because I've got keyframing on, if I adjust the value here, it auto keyframes and puts something else in. So let's make that about 110. And let's have a look at that. So you've just got a little gentle move. So that's good, it gives it a bit more zing. Let's have a little bit more of a play with it. So, and the other one I did a rotation. So if we go Shift R, that'll add the rotation parameter. So, and then what we're going to do is on this space here, we're going to begin a rotation. So we turn on the keyframing, that places a keyframe there. And then we're going to do, let's do that over about 5 frames. It's going to be pretty quick. So at this point here, grab that rotation parameter and we're going to do that with it. Now the other thing we're going to do, I'm going to go back to the scaling parameter and I'm going to add another keyframe here. And this keyframe is to really zoom it up and make it really big. Really big. Let's have a look at just that last little bit. It's probably a little bit quick. Here's how we can fix that. Select those 2 keyframes and let's drag them so that it's a bit longer. Let's have another look. There we go. Yeah. What we should do at the end, let's just push that out of frame. So if we go Shift P for the position, and we'll turn on keyframing for position, because then when we get to this one, we're actually just going to move it out of frame, like so. Let's have a look at that. So now it goes off frame at the bottom. So let's have a look at our whole effect. Let's turn off the title action safe. Cool. We've got a little opener. Now it's still pretty simple. Obviously it'd be nice to add some stuff to the background and I'd probably do a little bit more on it, but heck, we've only been at it for about 15 minutes and we've got something that looks like a great little start. So there's a little introduction to using text effects and presets and how to quickly build up an opener. That doesn't look too bad.